Hi everybody out there and welcome to another episode of Vox Singing Academy's podcast, video podcast. Today again we have the beautiful Emily with us today. Thank you for coming down today. How you doing?
Still alive.
Excellent. That's your catchphrase, isn't it?
Yes.
If you like this video podcast, please subscribe. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. If we make a segment dedicated to you, you get a free singing lesson from one of our staff. And today, Tegan Harrison is going to get a free singing lesson because we're answering your question, Tegan. Now, Tegan is apparently one of your students that has online singing lessons from beautiful WA over there. So well done, Tegan. If you're an Eagles supporter winning the grand final this year, I don't think you're going to win it last year. Sorry, you guys won it last year. I don't think you're going to win it this year because I think the Mighty Cats are going to win it this year. Hopefully they will, but I'm highly doubting. But anyway, let's get stuck in unless we have a miracle of God. Let's get stuck into Megan's question. This is Tegan, sorry, and this is episode number 9. Okay. Alright, Tegan commented, is it possible to detail a progression timeline for someone who is relatively new to singing? What should I experience after 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, if I train regularly with good technique? Okay, so I'm going to leave this one off here. I think the foundations for singing are exceptionally important, and especially myself as a teacher, and when I train my teachers up, getting the foundations down. You can't build a great house or a great bridge with crappy foundations, and that's just the bottom line, and especially with singing, because you don't want to go up there and just blow your voice out. Yeah, that's really the thing, because you know, very quickly you could be singing for an hour up on stage. A lot of the cover band sets out there are 3 45-minute sets, so that's generally 30 songs. So setting the foundations down and getting good quality singing lessons from the get-go, I think, is imperative. Okay, it was for me, and I think it's really the most important thing. And you can basically use it as a springboard that's going to make you progress a lot quicker in the future. And we really try to train, or I try to make sure that I give all of my students starting straight away, and we diagnose what needs to be improved on. So whether that be breathing straight away, or articulation, or expelling too much air, or tightening the neck, or whatever it might be. So we work on those points, and then once you get the technique down, everything falls into place, basically. So I think, especially I see it with beginners, and I don't take on a lot of beginners now, mainly the rest of Vox Singing Academy do. I mainly do more of the advanced singers, but I'm sure that you'll see this, that they get a lot of progression very quickly with the right foundations and technique in the first 15 to 20 weeks, and then it's off from there. But I think that those first couple of weeks doing everything right is very, very important. And then with your voice should expand depending on what you want to do with it. Let's just use Ed Sheeran as an example. I thought that Ed Sheeran's voice was quite good on his first album. I thought it was very, very good on his second album, the X album. I thought he expanded his range, developed his cries, developed his trilling. This latest album, he trills like an R&B singer. His trills went through the roof. So he really focused on working on that. So you can see the progression in his voice. You can also hear the maturity in his voice as well too. So his voice has got more of a
depth,
warmer sound. Just because he's older, he's toured a lot, played a lot, so his voice has matured that way over the course of the years. But just getting back to Tegan's question, again, that's what you're going to feel in the first 3 months. and it's like going to the gym for the first time. If you go to the gym all the time, you're going to feel fit and strong, and your range is going to be bigger, and your support's going to be better in the first three months. I think is very important. Anything that you would like to add about the first probably 3 months that Tegan is wanting to?
Yeah, I would like to add that it's very important to focus on technique in the range that you can kind of already access. Very often I notice in students about a 3 semitones up range growth on the second lesson already.
Yep.
If they've been practicing this whole week exactly as prescribed, they are able to go a minor third higher than they did on their very first lesson. So it's not always so much growth, but this is how much you can get out of very thoughtful, very consistent practice. So usually here at VSA we advise that you practice 6 days a week, and 1 day you give your voice a rest. So this is what you should be doing. You should, in your first 2 weeks of practice, you should not be singing for 3 hours every day. No. You should be singing exactly as much as your teacher told you to. Don't strain, don't go singing super high songs or super low songs, or songs using techniques that you have not covered with your teacher yet. Focus on what your teacher needs, told you need to work on the most. Be it breathing, be it pitching, be it opening your mouth. Focus on this one thing over the week, and I promise you, you will notice incredible improvement. Even the harder songs will be way easier to sing. Yeah. But don't expect to be able to sing like your idol in 3 months. In 3 months, what will happen? You will understand what they are doing, and by that time your teacher should start showing you like basic exercises to access these interesting techniques, more advanced techniques like blended voice or whistle or growl, whatever you're working on, VBC, vocal breath control.
Can I just intervene in there? Sorry. If anyone wants a good example of a voice expanding, please look at Beyonce's career.
Yep.
From when she was younger to when she joined, God, that just eludes me now. What's the girl band that she was in?
Something
Destiny's Child.
Destiny's Child, yeah.
Where her voice was, it was good. That's as bad as, but then when she went solo and expanded, then when she did that Dreamgirls soundtrack, it was like, because she was doing these cover songs, like, Jesus. So her voice really went up through the roof. Another one to look at is Kelly Clarkson. Have a look at before she went into American Idol and how her voice, and then when she went to American, she goes, wow, I'm there to take it seriously, and then just expanded.
Yep.
I'll just cut straight to the chase here and give also as well too some people some information about the expansion of the voice, because we have a lot of students coming out, I want to sing higher, I want to sing higher.
Now, today.
Yes, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens with great technique. But this is what I realistically think, that if you're a beginner and haven't had singing lessons, this is what I realistically think that you should be able to accomplish being a male. Now let's talk baritones and altos, which are middle range male and female voices. Because that's really what 90% of the population are. So let's just talk about that range there. Realistically, if you're a beginner male, with me, with my experience, within the first 4 weeks, the first week that you come in, you would generally want to be singing an E, G, or G sharp. F, F sharp or G. Above mid C. I generally guarantee most of my baritone males to be singing a B or a C with a proper crying technique 2 or 3 weeks later.
Yep.
Okay, so that's a full 3 or 4 notes right there, nearly half an octave. That's what I guarantee. After that, within 3 to 6 months after that, I guarantee that if they're singing a B or a C, that they can generally sing a D or a D sharp. I'm talking true voice, not falsetto here as well too. We're talking true
Yeah,
voice.
yeah.
For a male, that's a big
Yeah,
note,
that's
a D.
fantastic. That's big.
That's a general ballpark, but that's with consistent practice and great technique. For a female, again, it's that same expansion, but generally 4 notes higher. So generally, I guarantee females to sing on the first lesson to a B or a C, and then 2 weeks later, I guarantee them to sing generally a D or a D sharp in true voice with a cry. After that, as I said, the next 3 to 6 months, generally an E or an F or an F sharp.
We're talking about mezzos here, mid-range.
Yes, we're talking altos, mid-range, can sing up into that range in true voice using proper breathing and crying techniques that we'll teach you. That is my basic chart of what I work off, and we even have it written, and we're going into the secrets of Vox Singing Academy. We have M and F written on the keyboard, so we know where the basic male ranges and the basic female ranges. And how many times do you most every lesson we're going above where the F is, or where the M is. We're going above that. This is just a basic gauge for when we actually train up our teachers, so they know where the basic range is when we're training. But it's on every piano and keyboard in every studio and every training studio. But I'm always going above that, and I'm always going, wow, that's great. And as long as it's with good technique, a lot of people also say, hey, I can get this and I can get this and I can get it doing this way. And I always say to all of my students, your technique is fine as long as you can, after you've finished practicing and singing, you can still sing and perform after that and the next day. Okay? So, we teach a lot of extreme forms of singing. And people go, wow, how do you teach that and to do that? And, with proper technique, but the measure of success with that is the next day.
Foundation, patience, consistency.
So that's where we've kind of gone up to about 6 months there. Then after that is where I sort of see voices with me, I see them just take off. So if I get a beginner, it's like woof, straight up, and then the progression kind of plateaus like that. And this area here, that sort of 4 to 6, 12 months, that's the crucial time artistically for me as a teacher, because that's when they will either get disheartened and think, I haven't joined a band, or I haven't got this, or I haven't got that, or they're getting some sort of success and progression and the goals. And that's why goals are so important to do with every aspect of your life, but especially singing. What do I want to do? What do I want to continually strive to improve in my voice, or to write a song, or to audition, or to an open mic, or karaoke, or voiceover, or whatever it is. So always continually having goals that way.
I noticed that about this time period, 4 to 6 months, a lot of students come with this mindset. Well, I learned all the basics. Now I can take it all home by myself. So let's take a bit of a break from lessons. They take a bit of a break from lessons, and when they come back another half a year later or a couple of months later, the mindset is, let's book in like a couple of weeks from now because I need to get back into practice. What have you been doing for a half a year? You promised to take it all and go practice. Guys, ladies, if you stop your lessons, it's not a signal that you can stop practicing. This is the most valuable thing that you get with the teacher. Your exercises, they are custom for your voice. Keep doing them.
Exactly.
Make us not recognize you after a half a year so we can move on.
Can I just intervene there? That's why I recommend in private lessons, group lessons, you're doing the scales within a group.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to do a podcast on that, because I actually got someone put in a question regarding saying, can you please tell me the benefits of private and group lessons? So we're going to be doing a podcast on that in the future. But the with our private lessons at VSA, all of our lessons are customized to your genre, your experience, and your voice. They're customized. Please don't lose them. I had a student come in and I changed my phone, I got a new phone, I didn't back my phone up, and I lost all my scales. And it was like he had like
Oh my
50
God.
scales, and I'm going, where are they?
Oh,
He goes, they're gone. But he goes, I'm trying to get them off the hard drive, off the phone. I go, well, you better.
my
So
heart
guys,
hurts. Oh.
guys, when you get your scales, email them to yourself and save them in a file, USB hard drive, whatever. I don't care what you're saying, but they're an investment that can be used tomorrow, 10 years from now, whenever it is.
Back things up in 5 different places. Have them stored everywhere.
But very important to do that as well too. And look, the thing with me is as well too is I like my students. I like to give them the skills, go away, use
Yes.
it, and put it into practice. We don't want to see you come into lessons for years and years and years, but definitely take it, put it into practice. And I have students ringing me up all the time. Cam Buck rang me up. He's got a son, Harry. He's coming back in for classes. While I was in the toilet there, I was messaging one of my students, Tristan, who's recording a song. He wants to come back to lessons. You even heard that?
TMI.
Before we started this recording here, I was on the phone to David Housey Noise, and he just come back from LA, and he had his first rehearsal back. And he did a week and a half's worth of scales, and he had strained his voice a little bit because he was a bit overzealous, so he's ringing me up to come back into some classes. Sure, some rest, but again, with all of this, I have people ringing me up to come back to lessons every week. Every week they're coming back for tune-ups. And you've seen that firsthand here. While we've been in between shooting, where I'm getting back to people that inquiries that are personally ringing me up to come back. So it is a very good thing. Then, now moving on from there, and we've got to about the 6-month stage.
Yep.
Year to 2 years. This is a really big thing, and I think being consistent with your voice. Mm-hmm. Growing and trying new things. Exactly what I brought up with about Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran's trills were non-existent on the first album. Very good on the second album. Exceptional on the third album. Mm-hmm. He'd really gone for that folky, nearly R&B feel on this new album. And I think it's just about being consistent, honing your craft, still being inspired by other people, but just continually practicing, but also trying to do different styles and different genres and different things. We've got lots of different scales, and I heard it in one of your classes where you did, I think, a pentatonic scale, mm-hmm. a different type of scale. So trying different scales, doing different things, trying different genres to pick up new skills. On top of that, I will always say, and I will always recommend this to all of my students, play to your strengths. Ed Sheeran doesn't make out, he sings with the best of the best, Beyonce, you name it. He plays to his strengths. He's an acoustic-based folk singer. He's not trying to go out there and be some huge tenor, soaring vocals, like in Iron Maiden or something like that. He's actually, have you seen I seen a skit on YouTube about Ed Sheeran doing heavy metal covers, and he had an acoustic guitar, and he was doing I think Run to the Hills by Iron Maiden.
Oh my god, I'm so gonna watch it now.
You've got to check that out.
I've got to stop the recording, I gotta watch it now.
Don't watch it now, I'll try to find it and put it in a link below. It was great, and he did, that probably sums it up. Right there, I'm going to put a link in this description here, where Ed Sheeran was on some show, it was like the late night show or something like that, and they got him to do a bunch of heavy metal covers, and he did them acoustic, did them his way. Play to your strengths, do what you think does best, or you do best, a genre that you do best, stick with that, because then you're going to love what you're doing. That's really the big thing. Keep on practicing, try to expand your boundaries, do different things. Mike Patton from Faith No More, then Tomahawk and different bands like that. He's got solo projects. He was always pushing the boundaries of what he was doing, and he's a great example, especially to do with the voice.
I also would like to mention, so about this 1 year in, 1 year, 2 years in, what will happen to a lot of people. You will acquire a lot of new techniques, but please keep revising your very first exercises and still keep thinking about what was the worst on your very first lesson. If you were struggling with strain, keep it on the back of your mind. Think about yes, your core control. Think about not pushing your face forward,
yes.
Keeping your posture straight, relaxed neck, relaxed shoulders back. So keep thinking about it every single time you practice. So keep your like the lowest dip that you've had always in mind. Always pick it up, because this one particular point will be dropping every single time.
Yeah.
As soon as you take your attention off of it.
And we always assess all of our students in the first lesson, and even with our training, and again, we're going into the secrets of how we are the best in Australia. Is I even say it in training, is we pick out what we think is the 2 weakest points and we focus on those, but then we also work on their strengths as well too.
Yes.
So we focus on their strengths and give them scale that they like doing, but then also working on that. I'm just going to give everyone a huge big tip here to do with singing. If you're, and it doesn't matter where you are in your career, whether you're an absolute beginner, just novice wanting to start, or a consummate professional, pitching is the #1 cardinal rule to do with singing. Guys, whatever you're doing, please sing in key. And if you're starting off, sing with your songs, with the actual artist, use them as a soundboard, and then go with the instrumental, and then start recording yourself.
Absolutely.
But yes, anyway, going back to that 2 or 3 year period, keep on working your skills. Keep on learning new things. I'm jumping onto YouTube, seeing what other teachers are doing. Admittedly, I'm not, and this is not being egotistical, I really haven't learnt anything new from anyone else for at least 2.5 years. I'm always trying to push myself in the class, trying to find new ways to do different things. Like with our volume scales, I invented volume scales because I was sick of teachers telling me I want more light and I want more shade. I invented VBC scales. I invented scales for the sake of trying to get a product to get someone to do something within a class. So there are things that I'm always thinking, can I do this differently? Can I change this up? Can I do that? So I'm always looking at and customizing scales. I remember customizing scales last Wednesday, going, this scale is customized for what you are. And it was from a song. We had to go, who are, because there was a who are in a song, so who are, I did that and I actually customized that. It wasn't exactly that, it was actually more complex than that, but I remember customizing a particular scale for a particular word that a student couldn't get in the song. Then they end up getting it. Yeah,
that's actually a fantastic thing that I use a lot in my classes as well. So just taking a phrase that people struggle with, taking a high phrase, and putting it like literally 1 octave down below and making a scale out of it, and just keep repeating the phrase from the bottom up until we get to the point where we want to be.
Yeah. I remember the day as clearly as yesterday. It was 1986. A lot of you people probably weren't even born then. U2 had released their Joshua Tree album. They had With or Without You, and it had that whoa at the end. And I remember struggling with that as a young boy, and I just remember getting on the keyboard and going, whoa, whoa, and trying to sound like Bono, whoa, whoa.
Look at the mouth placement, guys.
Whoa!
There's master class right there.
Whoa! And then whoa! And I go, oh, there it is. And that's how That's how I learnt that part, because I couldn't get it. I remember singing the song through going, I couldn't get it. Look, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it.
Aww.
And it's hot in here. It must be 30 degrees in here. It is, with all these lights and it's the sun coming through here. It gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Going, I remember the day going, whoa, that's freaking cool. You know, I did that and I just made a scale up to get it myself. Because I remember just trying to belt it out, and I just worked up. And I got it, kept on practicing, done. It was done like that. So that was a big one for me. And also progression in the voice. If you want to hear someone's progression in their voice, Bono, Vox from U2, listen to his early recordings. They were actually going to kick him out because he used to blow his voice out all the time and he got lessons. So listen to the early albums, Boy and War. His voice was about there. It was good. I'm being nice, just in case Bono has a go at me, but he really had a huge jump to the Unforgettable Fire album, massive jump. So that was, if you want a gauge of that, and he actually, he was a really big, he's been a big influence on me. But it was great to see his voice and following his voice, and his voice matured when he got to the Joshua Tree. He hit his straps in, his voice was nice and warm, and he was just I don't know.
Some people just kind of naturally have this like low end in their voice, this softness and warmth.
No, I think it was experimentation. Another one as well too is probably one of the biggest rock bands in the world is Metallica. You know, you hear James Hetfield at the start of his career, and he was experimenting, like hit the lights. You know, when glam was there, hit the lights. He was sort of singing like this. And then it wasn't until And Justice for All where I think he hit his straps and he got his sound and they got their sound. And that's what I'm saying. We're talking about the 2 and 3 year period. You're going to really find yourself then where you suit, where you sound the best. You should have discovered your voice by then, and then go with your strengths and enjoy what you're doing. But they're two great examples. James Hetfield is... You know, some of the times that he was getting when he was younger was good, and this here as well too. I was going to drop the F-bomb just then. This is really great inspiration about watching some of your heroes progress, and those two guys are right there and there. Stevie Wonder's another one. Listen to Stevie Wonder. Started off singing very low. And then his voice expanded. He was low, early Motown stuff, was kind of just middle range stuff. And then he got some lessons from Seth Riggs. Hey Seth, over there in LA, hope you're well. And he learned how to cry, bang, and his voice went to the next level. So, yeah.
I would like to add that all of this will not happen if you're practicing once a week.
No.
So if you just had your lessons and then had 2 years sitting on your bum and eating cheesecake, it won't happen. Or dumplings, it won't happen magically. So it's very important. Also think about this way.
Have you got into the dumpling places up here on Kunang Road? Anyway.
Just stop now. Or I will just cut this short and just go there. I can't because I have to fit into costumes on the 17th of March. Because I wasn't able to do that at the last show.
Do girls do that, Emily? I've got a friend that's got a wedding on tomorrow, and she's been on a diet and exercising for the last 2 weeks because she's got a wedding. I'm going...
I don't know, because I never had a wedding. I'm not into weddings in general and like any kind of public things.
I just think you should stay in good shape all the time.
I do that. Well, here's the thing: when you are in a show where each dress costs like thousands of dollars, when it's like all handmade to your proportions and embroidered and blah blah.
Like Adele's dress, you know, she had one dress and had diamonds on it, and it was worth.
Yeah.
Amazing dress. She only had one dress.
You cannot, like, if this dress was made for me, you better work your ass off if you have to wear it again. And because
I've heard the classic gaffer tape story already.
Yeah. Yeah, because And you know,
where Emily had to get gaffer taped into a dress.
yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
No dumplings.
A lot of fun. Yeah, so no dumplings. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those people with great willpower. I'm not into a lot of physical exercise, but
Yes.
my coach Jeremy, who's also my student and castmate in Celtic Illusion,
He's your he's your
he's my PT.
personal trainer.
Yeah. And I came to him for rehab with my joints pain and so on.
Try to make me go to...
I don't like people shouting me, so I don't.
No,
I don't need,
no.
I don't need somebody going, "Come on, 10 more reps." It's not about that. It's about just being aware of what I'm doing right and not wrong. It's same as singing lessons. I could go and do 5,000 reps incorrectly and just hurt myself more,
Yeah.
you know. Or yeah. So Jeremy, huge shout out to me, changed my life. I can swim again.
Fitness
I started
first?
swimming
Is it-
again. Yes.
Fitness
Yes.
first?
So I started swimming again. So hopefully on the 17th this dress is gonna get pulled on. So yeah, what we were talking about the timeline, right? So this timeline, what we were getting to.
We're pretty much
So
done now.
Yeah, 2 years, yeah, if you can train regularly with good technique. So keywords here, regularly with good technique. So you can basically, you will not completely set your timeline to 0 if you stop training. No. Some of skills will come back fast when you restart. Sometimes we have to stop training for objective reasons, right? Health.
Can we just talk about that subject there as well too? Muscle memory, when you've been doing scales and singing for a long time, comes back extraordinarily quick.
Yes.
I see it after Christmas. The students have had some time off, and generally, honestly, a week and a half to 3 weeks max, they're back to
Yeah.
what they're doing if they're practicing. And again, we're building them up there as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, with this as well too, you don't have to go and sing. We wanted to make it fun for you. If you want to have time off over Christmas. I tell you guys, have extended time off. So have time off here and there. You know, we don't want to. You're going to get bored of doing the same thing all the time as well too. Or focus on certain scales, or bring your workout down and do more songs, or vice versa. A lot of my touring guys. One of my students asked me this week. Who was it that asked me this week? Think of the name because I want to give them a shout out. It will come to me. They asked me about touring, about prepping for touring, and I said, yeah, it's a little bit different, because what they do is when they come off the road, they're not going to go and do scales. They have time off because they've just come off a big grueling tour. They have time off. They go and do their normal thing. So I'm talking about professional musicians here, and then before a tour, we start up their scales practice 2.5 months before a tour starts. And we build up, so they've got stamina before 2.5 months. And the same thing before recording as well too. Generally we're doing pre-prog on the album, so we'd always do that, get their voice up and ready for pre-production, and then before they book in for recording, it's always generally 1.5 months before we go and book in recording, they're back into doing their scales. And getting it going and doing pre-production, going over the songs at home, so that it's great when they go into the studio.
Yeah.
So it's different for different people. We're not saying, hey, you need to go and do scales regularly 6 days a week for 2 years. No, have some time off. It's like it's like fitness as well too. And I always have time off over Christmas. I give my voice a rest.
Yeah.
I always have a couple of weeks off before Christmas, but I always, a week and a half before I start lessons, I'm always back doing scales.
Yeah.
Always. If I came in cold to lessons, it just wouldn't happen, and my voice would probably fatigue by the time I get to 2 or 3 days worth of teaching.
I don't think I've ever had like a week when I was not practicing. Like ever in my life.
Well, that's different for everyone. Like I know I've travelled extensive when I was married. I travelled extensively for 6 months. 6 weeks.
6 months.
We'd
What?
go away on holiday. So I would have 7 weeks off from doing scales, and I remember doing scales in a junk in the northern part of Vietnam on Hoi An Bay, because I was flying back the next week doing scales in the cabin and stuff. So it's just what's got to be done. So everyone's different, but as I said, it does come back pretty quickly. I think we should wind this one up. Anything else you want to end the podcast with?
I want to say that there are no cookie cutters. There is no, all what we talk about here is generalization of the giant beaters' experiences of the charts. I've had 65 lessons this week. It's I don't know how is it happening. It's happening. I'm all over it. Yeah, but here's the thing, when you are mindful of what your voice is feeling, and when you are mindful of what you are working with, you will have more progress done if you practice for 20 minutes a day, rather than when you just go and shout for 2 hours straight. So don't do that. Focus on what you want to accomplish and work on it. Steady wins the race there.
Quality over quantity.
Yes.
Every day of the week. We would rather you go in and sing one song really well in the recording studio than 10 songs average. So quality over quantity all the time. Exactly.
I also would like to add that a healthy voice, when it comes to different techniques, there is virtually no limit. I'm talking about techniques here, not range. And I'm talking about baritones who can whistle and can sing in this 6th octave. It happens. If you work on it, it happens. I'm talking about sopranos who can growl like there's no tomorrow. So whatever you want to achieve, work on this thing. And respect your voice, respect your body, respect its limit. Give it the rest when you need to. And you will notice improvement in every single moment. In 2 weeks, in 3 months, in half a year, in 2 years, and on and on and on. 2 years is not when you stop. 2 years is when you realize, when your horizon is wide enough that you go, wow, I can do anything I want with my voice. It's all about just picking a direction, choosing a direction, and off you go.
Exactly. Having patience is a big one. I know we spoke about it, and I'll mention 2 names here. Alex from Drown This City, who sings Clean and Dirty, and Chris DeCinque from Closure in Moscow. Now, when Chris first came into me, he was he was a okay to good singer at the best, and he ended up becoming an amazing singer. Chris lacked falsetto. He didn't have any falsetto. He had probably 1 or 2 notes in falsetto. We worked on his falsetto religiously, every lesson, for at least 3 to 5 months. One of the best examples of falsetto that you will get now. But worked his butt off. So we also worked to his strengths. He's singing high, true voice. Then we also worked as he wanted to work on falsetto. Again, Alex as well too. Fantastic clean singer. We started off with her cleans. Was a good singer when she came in. Really made her clean singing good to fantastic. And then her dirty singing took a long time to develop. It took probably 6 months consistently from going from just starting to developing quite a brutal, hard type of voice. So it took about 6 months to develop that sound there. So sometimes you've got to have patience if you want to develop a certain part of your voice that you haven't got. But anything's possible.
I also want to give a shout out to another student of mine, Emily from Saldusk. We're doing something fantastic the next week on the 16th. I'm going to her show to actually warm her up before the sound check and before the show, and work on some songs with her. Probably I will try to film as much of the process as possible.
That'd be great.
And we will put it out there to see why is it a unique thing, because she sings both clean and scream. So she does black metal scream and she does clean singing utilizing all of the technique. True voice, cries, falsetto, transitioning in and out, switching from cry to screams in one sound, and so on and so on. So and when Emily came to lessons with us, she was doing this sound basically for screams, and literally a month into lessons, like 2-3 weeks into lessons, when we worked out like basic fry. So these things, she went and re-recorded some of the screaming parts on her album. It's about to be dropped. There is a fantastic video up on YouTube. We're gonna put a link down below for that as well.
There's gonna be a lot of links.
Yeah, a lot of links up. So I'm gonna have to assemble a lot of material for this. Yeah. So if you put your mind to it, you can get to a lot of progress within 2 to 3 weeks. In 3 months, you should be quite proficient. In 6 months, you should be at a very good, nearly professional level. A year in, you should be at a level where you can go and perform a few shows in a week and not die. But again, nothing happens without practice.
This is practicing regularly, minimum 6 days a week with correct technique.
Yes, absolutely. I'm done. Well, I can talk about. I can just put the word practice emblazoned on me everywhere. I should tattoo it everywhere.
It's whatever you want to accomplish in life, nothing's going to come without hard work.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali had a saying that he never used to count his sit-ups. He used to count them when he was starting to hurt. That's what he said. So I'm not saying hurt your voice.
Never do that with a voice.
But yes. Just on live warm-ups, guys, if you're wanting some links regarding live warm-ups, I'll put some links in the below as well too. We have Clint Bode, and I'm just trying to think of Scott, the bass player, as well too, doing their warm-ups before a Butterfly Effect show.
Yep.
So
let's put that in the description
so
as well.
They'll be in the description. So there's lots of descriptions, and I think we'll sign off here because this is a monster.
Wow. Oh yeah, let's do that and just go for some dumplings already.
Thanks, Em. Thanks for coming in. Thank you for watching, guys. We really do appreciate it. Much love. Have fun singing. We'll see you on the next episode of Vox Singing Academy's video podcast. Bye for now.
Talk soon.